right, everyone. Welcome to our Healing Voices YouTube channel and podcast. My name's Aaron Lehman, and I am really excited to offer this venue, a space where we can get to know new people that are on the healing journey, and we can learn from them and learn alongside them as they share their story of transformation, of healing, and also to inspire all of us to realize how powerful our voices are and how important our individual stories of resilience are. It's such a blessing to get to connect and hear each other's healing stories and transformation stories. So this is why I'm so excited about this podcast. I'm excited to have you here. And without further ado, today I'm really excited to have Bikonzi Moise join me. Bikonzi and I go back to 2008, I believe, which would take me back to, I'm 38 now. So I was a 26-year-old teaching high school math, leadership, and communications classes. And this guy, Bikonzi, walked into my classroom as a freshman and came into an interesting class of communications. And what I recall from those days, Bikonzi, is I recall sitting in a large circle with about 30 some odd students, most of whom, as we just have kind of talked, most of whom were juniors and seniors, and you were a freshman. And I just remember being like, who is this guy, Bikonzi? Every time you would talk, I got super excited. You always had just really exciting and deep reflections that meant a lot to me then. And this is when you're 15 years old. This is what I love about life, right? Is we don't know who might touch us or shift or transform our life. And so then we fast forward 3 years later, and we go work at you come to a teen camp that I helped kind of facilitate. Then the next year you were a counselor, a camp counselor at that teen camp. And and since this last 8 years or whatever, it's been about friendship. It's been about friendship. Yeah. We did we went to a men's retreat in Sedona together also. And I've been really blessed to keep this friendship alive with you, and also been blessed to know your wife Jenny, and just getting to connect with her and see your guys' passion and love for each other. So that all being said, Bikonzi, I'm just grateful to have you on here, and really excited for people that are joining or listening in to get to know you a bit more and hear more about your story. So if you don't mind sharing, tell us about you. I mean, you came to my class at, in Glendale, Arizona as a freshman in high school, and tell us a little bit about your story of arriving in Arizona and your family's journey. If you don't mind just kind of dropping everybody in on who you are.
Yeah. Like Aaron shared, my name is Bikonzi, and I was born in Congo. So we'll start back when I was born. I was born in Congo, so in Africa. My family moved in Arizona probably in 2000, 2001 was when they got here. Part of why we got here. This was not a choice. We didn't get to choose to go to Arizona or anything like that. A lot of people have heard of the genocide that broke out in Rwanda, because that was big, that was televised, everyone kind of knows about that. But a lot of people forget that trickled down to Congo. So what happened in Rwanda ended up taking place in Congo, where Hutus were killing the Tutsis, and pretty much they would come up and say, oh, you have a pointy nose, you must be from the other tribe. My grandparents are from the Tutsi side. My siblings and I were all born in Congo. So one night we honestly, we had a ritual in my house before we went to bed. We would pray. Ask for forgiveness, then go to sleep. And one day, these military people just broke into our house and took us. We were great neighbors. My mom and dad were great neighbors. We loved people. From an early age, the one thing I can remember about my dad passed away, so I really didn't get to know him, but even the people I talk to now, one of the biggest things they say that is how much he loved people. If my dad was walking on the street and saw someone without clothes on and he didn't have anything to give him, he would even give him the shirt that he's wearing. Like that's the kind of, I mean, personally that I was raised. And on top of that, my mom, she's just a different story herself. So I think from an earlier age, that's the one thing I just knew to love people. But I didn't necessarily, I mean, I was a kid. My family had their own business. I didn't really think anything bad would ever happen to us. And that night like changed everything. They broke in, took everything. They took us and put us in truck and we were sent to a concentration camp. I'm gonna not be telling the full story because we don't have time for that. So I'll abbreviate. So eventually, of course, if you have any questions or anyone have questions, they can feel free to ask. But they ended up taking us to a concentration camp for 16 months. So before we went to the concentration camp, they had us in a jail cell for 3 days. The male was one place. So teenager boys and the fathers were put in one way, and then the younger kids and the mom were put in another one. Where the male were put, they most likely were going to get killed. They were going to get tortured and then get killed right away because they posed the biggest threat. For kids, they were going to kill them, but they were just going to do it in a slower process where they would either let them starve or whatever didn't require a lot of effort from them. Mm-hmm. So then so that's what happened. So then eventually you can hear next door that is definitely different for the male and for the teenager boys, but they ended up taking the women and kids and taking us to this place supposedly where they were going to kill us. We got there, on our way to this place, they were supposed to, in the middle of nowhere, just kind of kill us. And they ended up fighting amongst themselves and thinking, why are we the ones having to kill women and kids? Let's take him to the commanders and have them do it since they're the ones that are ordering us to do this. Which it's very interesting because those people had killed so many women and kids. So the fact that they felt even somewhat guilty of like killing us is a shock itself, because at this point, we thought we were kind of ready to die because they were about to take us out of a truck in the middle of nowhere where they're going to kill us. So the fact that they thought twice to even do that is literally God. Like that's the only way I can explain it. God had a bigger purpose for us. So then we were they took us and then they put us in this abandoned building, this concentration camp where they would choose whether to give us food or not. And if they did, they'll give us 1 cup of rice a day for the whole family. And then essentially they stopped for like 15 days. And so all these things where they were going to like kill us, they just were trying to figure out the easiest way where they put the least amount of energy. Like when we got there, they made dig out holes. Well, the people that were older, like the moms and the boys that could dig out holes where they're going to bury us because they didn't want to waste energy once they killed us to dig out holes to bury us. So things like that. But clearly I'm not dead because I'm here talking to you guys. So fast forward, we were in there for 16 months. And at that point we had made peace with dying. Dying was not the biggest issue for me personally. I guess I can't speak for everyone. Dying was not the biggest issue. The biggest issue for me was how I was going to die. Like I just wanted to be as easy as possible with the least amount of pain. That would be like as a kid. At the time, I'm about like a 7-year-old, almost 8-year-old. Like I'm thinking, however I die, I just don't want it to be painful. So all that happened. So we didn't die. The same people that were trying to kill us ended up helping us. By the grace of God, they ended up helping us and we ended up going to Kinshasa. Kinshasa is the capital of Congo. And we got there, we had nowhere to go. So we were like at the airport for 3 days, just abandoned, not knowing. And then eventually we got help to go to this facility where they were going to keep us and give us food. So they, in a way, took care of us. And then we ended up going to Cameroon at the refugee camp where the Red Cross was at. And that's where a lot of people are at who are trying to come to America. Okay. But the thing is, there's a lot of wealthy people there. There's also a lot of poor people there because everyone is trying to come to America for a better life, for better opportunities. Because in Africa, there's just so many wars and so many fighting. So we were there. I can't remember exactly how long, but one of the things is my mom gave birth in the concentration camp. When we went, she didn't know she was pregnant. So my siblings were born in this. The fact that my siblings are still alive, that's a miracle itself. So they ended up, my mom had to have a woman go out and get a piece of wood from outside to cut the umbilical cord because she, they were going to kill us. They weren't going to take her to the hospital. So those crazy things where how dirty we were, the fact that my siblings were able to survive with no shoes, that itself is crazy.
Mm.
But don't want to get off topic. But so then we ended up going there, and we actually ended up getting help to come to America faster, I believe, because of them.
Mm-hmm.
Because they could literally die at any time. The fact that they even survived those months that they were in there is a miracle from God. So
Mm-hmm.
I think the lady that was taking people, someone kept telling her, "Hey, you have to come and take a look at these families." There was like, it wasn't just us. There was like 4 families
Mm-hmm.
in there. So there was like 4 other families. So when they were in there, so she was like, "You got to come and take this new group that came in." She's like, this lady was like, "No, I don't want to go look because I know what happens when I look. I see people that I can't leave without."
Yeah.
You know? So for the few, I don't know, weeks she was there, she just didn't want to come in the tent to look at us because, she knew what was going to happen. And eventually the last day, she was like, "Just so you know," because when you come as the Red Cross also to get to help people, you have a number of people you're taking
Yep.
and the people that have been cleared to go. So, and she had like a crazy amount of 30 something people so she didn't even want to look. So before she left, she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna look, but I'm not taking anyone, just so you know, because I can't. I don't have paperwork for them. It's gonna take a while." She comes in there, and then once she looks, she's like, "There's no way I can leave this people because they don't have like days, hours. We don't know how long they have. If we don't get them." Yeah. So she ended up getting us, which also is just another miracle because so the planes that they were using to transport us from place to place were like cargo planes, so they had no seats and none of that. So she gets there, and the people are like, "No, this is the amount of people that you're taking. These 30 extra people you can't take because we don't have paperwork. So we can get in trouble, all these things." So then she's like, then of course she somehow convinces this person to take us, and they put us in. And when we're in the camp, literally all we got was a piece of paper that said Arizona. We didn't know what Arizona meant. We didn't know what. Now we know what that piece of paper said because now we know. So that's how that ended up happening, and we ended up. So that's how Arizona ended up becoming where we came. So then fast forward, I came to Arizona. Yeah, I mean it was tough because we didn't speak English at all. We didn't even know one word. So we were put in this country after our own country didn't want us and was trying to kill us. So we're in this new country, and we're in this place where it's like a 3-bedroom with 12 of us, and we think it's like the biggest home ever because we have food, we have everything, and all
Mm.
that. And we live like in a pretty rough neighborhood, But for us, it was like the most safest neighborhood.
Yeah.
I remember, and this is not like to downplay anything. Like I remember one time I come from school, and our neighbor from across of us had shot his girlfriend's family and shot himself. So, so that's a few people. And to kind of give you a picture of where we were coming from, or at least, like in my head, I was like, so there was police, of course, surrounding the area. Like we had a hard time getting into our own home. In our mindset, I was like, wait, what? They're stopping us because they killed like 5 people. In my head, I'm like, I couldn't comprehend like why this was being made such a big deal. Because I mean, I was coming from a place where, I
Yeah.
mean, they were killing people every single day, like hundreds of people. So to us, killing, I was like, it's only 5 people. Why is that in my head a big deal? Now when I look at it, I'm like, that, like, I mean, if someone got shot in our neighborhood, I would go like that would be crazy,
Yeah.
But at that time, I was just like, wait, what? Why are places having a hard time letting us into our own home? We live across from, like, why is this such a big deal? They only killed a few people. Like in my head, I'm like, it shouldn't be that big of a deal, even though it's like
Right.
a huge deal. But like from where we're coming from, so. But I went to a school called Herd School. It's like on 23rd and Thomas in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was definitely challenging, like because the only thing we could technically learn was math, but they were trying to teach us a lot of that stuff. We had some interesting teachers, but eventually, as a kid, I was like, yeah, okay, they're like, you're going to 3rd grade. They put me in 3rd grade. I couldn't read, I couldn't write. All I could do was math. So that you can imagine the challenges itself I faced of, because in 3rd grade, they're not really teaching you how to read and write. They're not teaching you the ABCs because you're supposed to know those when you come in. So
Mm.
imagine trying to, like, the hardest things for me at the time was like, I'm teaching myself the ABCs because I need to know these things, but I also am trying to teach myself how to read so I could be a 3rd grader. So those are like very difficult. And now I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
also it's like I can't communicate with my teachers to tell them like what I'm struggling with, and I can't take my homework home to have my mom help me. So a lot of those issues, but by the grace of God, like eventually my mom my mom loved helping people. She knew God had a different purpose. You know, when I came to America, I was very, very better. Like I was, you know, I had so much hate, you know, more than like, you know, like when I'll talk to people that I know now and someone tell the story, they're like, no way, 'cause we've known you, you've always been a very happy person. I
Mhm.
mean, my goal when I first came to America was to come here, be as wealthy as I can be, and create my own army and go back to Africa and kill as many people as I can. That was, I mean, as an 8-year-old at the time, like as a 7-year-old, that
That
was like,
was what, yeah.
that was my goal. Like, because what we heard about America is you could be whatever you want and you can make as much money as you want. You could literally become what you want to become. So in my head, I was like, I know exactly what I want to become. This is what I want to do. I want to go and I'm going to pay back every single person that ever had anything to do with my family going through all that stuff. But my mom was like the opposite. You know, my mom is crazy, you know, because now I've learned forgiveness in such a different way. Like, but I can't always say that I've always been like that. I was a bitter kid. I didn't really talk to anyone besides my family. For
Mhm.
people that also know me now, like they know how much I love people and I love meeting new people. Back then, like I didn't really want friends. Only people I talked to was my family. Those are the only people I cared about because those are the only people I can trust. Because I was in my head as a kid, I was like, how can I trust these random people in a different country
Mhm.
with different skin color, different mindset when my own people didn't want me? Like why in my head would I trust these people? Why would they want to help me? So I would say fast forward, we're getting a little older and we meet my mom's like, well, I need to go to some sort of school to learn some words in English so I can get my way around to go to the grocery store, you know. And I think as I share this, it's like crazy because we don't understand how big of an impact we make in people's life. Because for my family, like I mean, there's a lot of people that ended up helping my family get to where we're at, but there's one couple that like literally changed our entire life. Like I am who I am right now because of this couple, of course, because it's Jesus, because I'm a believer and I believe he has all the power to like I'm who I am because of, but like these couples. So my mom goes, I get off topic a lot.
You're
So,
doing great.
but
You're doing great. This is so good.
no, yeah. So these couple, my mom goes to learn English. So she's trying to learn English. This lady that speaks French, my mom speaks 8 different languages. Thankfully, French is one of them. So this lady figures out that my mom speaks French. She usually doesn't have anyone to speak with in French. So she's excited to meet a person that also speaks in French. So they start talking and they get to know each other. And this lady is like, oh, this lady is awesome. And my mom used to take like buses like to get to school and to get to home. So
Mhm.
this lady one day asked my mom, hey, can I give you a ride home? For those people that take buses, you know it's not fun taking the bus, especially when you're trying to get places and you have to wait for half an hour for a bus. My mom's like, I mean, yeah, of course. You know, I would love for you to give me a ride. So she gives my mom a ride and becomes a thing like that she's asking my mom to do almost all the time.
Mhm.
And of course, my mom's like, I would love a ride every single time, you know? And also it's someone so they get to know each other. And this lady is like, oh my gosh, this woman is great. So my mom also talks about her kids 24/7. So she ends up telling the lady, and the lady, one day after they've known each other for a while, she's like, is there any way I can meet your kids? You know, with all that's happened, it's probably hard for my mom to just let anyone meet her kids. But for some reason, my mom again is like, yeah, sure, you can come and meet my kids. So she comes over and she meets us, and we don't speak English, so it's hard to communicate. So she just meets us. And now imagine we can't communicate with this. Like, so our friendship time, like I spoke a bit, but not enough to like really do much. So like we couldn't communicate with this lady. Uh, but for some reason, she goes home and tells her husband, I met this awesome family. You have to come and meet them, you know? Because in my head, I'm like, wait, what? Like, what made her think that at that time? So her husband comes, and for some reason, they end up falling in love with us, and we end up falling in love with them, even though we can't communicate. Like, you know,
Mhm.
like I can't tell them what I need, but the biggest thing that they did for us was they were consistent. Like, because at the beginning, I'm pretty sure it was hard for us to talk to them, to trust them, all the things that we were already struggling with, but they were consistent. They came all the time. They wanted to help us in anything, any part of our life. And that's the one thing that's changed my entire life is like, I just want to be consistent. You
Mm.
know, if I'm helping people, whether I ever, like, they never did anything to get anything out of it because we couldn't give them anything. We had nothing at the time, you know, even though we thought we had everything at the time because we were coming from a master church. We really had nothing to give them, you know.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
getting help out of the government. So, like, but they saw like, I don't know what, until now we talk to them. Like, I mean, they're part of our family pretty much. But like, but they just were consistent. They, regardless of how different we were, regardless of how we tried to push them away, regardless of what we did, they were always consistent, you
Mm.
know? And slowly as we learned English, they taught us like we were worthy to be loved, because a lot of us were struggling with that. Like, we never felt like we deserved anyone's love because no one showed us love. And we're like, why would we deserve these American people's love? Like, we have nothing to offer them. So
Mm.
sometimes I always feel like people feel like, if I can't offer something to this relationship, it's not going to be an impactful relationship. If I can't get nothing out of our friendship, then I feel like there's nothing here. But
Mhm.
these two couple like take care. I mean, they would take us on all the vacations we've ever gone on. They took us on all like they started inviting us over. Just how like the Lord was able to use them and use my mom to soften up my mom's heart to where she let them take us, like, just changed everything. And we slowly started learning, wait, what? He means what he's saying. This guy's not just saying things that he's not doing, he's actually doing it.
Mhm.
So it became like so amazing. Like, when I think of, because my dad passed away because of all that happened, like, my mom was raising us by herself in a country that she didn't know. So like, her husband, the lady's husband, played a huge role in our life, because like, if you ask any of my siblings, besides our dad, he played the father figure. For
Mm.
16 years that we knew him. He recently, a few years ago, passed away, but like,
Okay.
for 16 years we knew him. Like, he was like, I mean, he was a better father than most people who I know's dads. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like,
Yeah.
he won all of our games. And he was like, it's not like he wasn't doing anything. He was a pilot, so he flew. But like, he just made us feel like we were the best thing in the world. My siblings and I talk about it, and it's like, it's weird because we felt so close to him. When we hung out with him, he made us feel like we were literally the most important thing in the world. So through that, we learned how to love people when they have nothing to offer to you and all that stuff. And my mom also taught us how to forgive and how to do all this thing, because there's literally second shared about this family like this. My sister named one her daughter after the woman.
Mm.
Most of my siblings have named some of their kids like their middle name, like all this stuff. Like, they loved us and taught us how like we were worthy to be loved when we felt we were at our worst, which is like important, because it's easy for me to love you because we're friends, we agree on a lot of things. Now imagine when you're at your worst, would I still love you the same? So
Right.
it's crazy, because when I used to talk to them, they're just like, they would always say how big of an impact, how we changed their life. And I'm like, wait, what? We did nothing. You know, they would call us like, we consider like the wife's still alive, and we still, I mean, they're literally part of our family. I am just as close to them as I am to any of my siblings. Like,
Mhm.
they have been, I don't think they'll ever understand how big of a role they play. We try to tell them, but I don't think they'll ever understand. But I think that's something like with my mom loving helping people, about my dad loving helping people, and like that, the two couple that came, like how much they love people. It's like, I was bound to always love people, because
Mm.
people look at me now and they're like, man, you love people so well, or this and this. But I'm like, man, I had so many people that just loved me so well. I almost didn't have a to love people so well. So, but we came to America now. I mean, now my family's healthy. Like, I know, but like freshman year of high school, that's when I met you guys. I met you. So, and that itself, like, it's crazy how people, like, you meet someone and they change your entire life. Like, in my head, it was crazy. I would go and I would tell my friends that didn't have your class, or I'd tell my family, and they're like, wait, what? That doesn't even sound like school. Like, what kind of school are you going to? You know? Because I'm telling them how, like, we're talking about like how, like, what we do in life, how are we helping change how are we impacting, how is it that when I spend time with someone, how is that impacting them? How is it when I look at someone in the eyes,
Mm.
how is it when I love them when they're going through bad? I'm just like, they're like, wait, what? That's a class? And I'm like, honestly, I didn't know about this class either, but like, it ended up being like my favorite class, because everything we talked about in there was everything that I loved. Like, it almost felt like a class that was made just for me. So, and I'm with this juniors and seniors as a little scared kid, and I'm like, as much as I shared, I was like, should I be sharing? Is this too much? Do I even know what I'm talking about? So I think for me, that itself, even that was such a blessing for me to start high school that way, because I think so many kids don't get that to start off their freshman year. Someone teaching them like, hey, things are not going to always be easy, but you are loved. There is people that care about you. So for me, I feel like, man, no wonder I ended up doing so well in high school, because I started off from the beginning, like having a class where we're learning leadership skill. We're learning how to love people, how to be loved, because some people are so like, it's so easy for them to love people, but it's hard for them to be loved, like to allow other
Yeah.
people to love them. So just like those things, like even when we would stand in like lines and look at each other for 30 seconds and like send out positive energy, for people, it's like, for a lot of people, it would be weird,
Yeah.
but for me, it was like, what? This is crazy that this is a class I get to go to, So that one made me so excited to go to high school, which made me ended up like creating a trigger of like a train effect where I just loved high school. Like people would always wonder, like because when I was in high school, I didn't really share my story with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever people would find out, they're like, I don't believe anything you're saying. You're way too happy for someone that's gone through that. But I always explain to them, it's like, no, I am happy because I went through all that, because I've gotten like a second chance. Like I know how it felt to like almost dying, like and losing everything, to where I'm at right now. So that changed everything. Like, I mean, the camp you're talking about, the leadership camp we did with your parents, the Cougar Town, it was like one thing after another. Somehow I was getting selected to go to these things where I'm like, I don't think I'm that good of a leader. I don't know that I'm really having anything to help, but I somehow kept getting picked, like I only went to Cougar Town because, do you remember, I think her name was Sheree. I don't know if I'm
Sheree, yeah,
saying it wrong.
Sheree, yeah.
Yes. She was like she played basketball and all that kind of stuff, and as a freshman, I think she was either a junior or a senior. I had known her a little bit, and like, she was like, you're going to Cougar Town, whether you like it or not. I was like, I don't even know what Cougar Town is, So she was like, I don't care what you say or what excuse you're going to give. You're going to Cougar Town,
Mm-hmm.
which is a camp that you and I both went to. So a lot of people don't know, but it was a camp that just teaches you how to love people from other races, how to love people that are different. Where like I tell people that's one of the most impactful camp I've ever gone to. I've gone to church camps. I've gone to like so many camps that
Right.
have to do with different things. That camp, like, I mean, I went 4 times. So like that camp was the most impactful camp, like one of the most impactful camp, because like it's just so hard to explain. I'm just like, I wish every single person in the world could at least go to there one time, because it just taught me like, there's so many other people that are going through, like we would do that event where you stand up and they say, who's lost a loved one? And people walk up. It's like, you just realize there's so many crazy bad things happening to so many people. You're not alone. It's not like you're being targeted and everything. Like so many bad things are happening to good people. And that was, because like you sometimes struggle where like, when no one else, like, and it's just you think, oh, just bad things are happening to my family. But I think, man, that camp was so amazing. And then on top of that, I ended up going to the leadership camp with your parents, where we're doing things like yoga. We're having a conversation and I'm like, like when people say like, how did you become so good with people? I was just exposed to people that were so different. Like when I think of like your parents, even your siblings, like you are so different from them. Like, and you each have something different to offer.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I've just been exposed to people from around the world. And so it's given me this unique thing of like loving people from different cultures.
Mm-hmm.
I almost enjoy meeting people that are different than me than I enjoy meeting people that are the same as me. Because I'm like, I learned something different from people that are different from me. Whether it's religion wise, whether it's like in like how I think you should be as a husband or any of that. Because you learn so much more. And you learn maybe some bad things where you're like, I want to stay away from that, or you learn great things that you can apply to your own life, how you can change this thing. So I think I've just been exposed to so many different things. I was bound to love people. Like, I don't think, as much as I hated people at the beginning, like there was no way I would continue doing what I did. Like it's almost like God set up things in life to just change everything that I thought of. Mm-hmm. So I think, and then we get to this point, it's like, I mean, everything now I love people. I don't even know how to explain it, honestly. So, and you and I's friend, like, it's weird, like the stages that we've had. But I mean, I've always like, even I tell my wife, like, I always knew the kind of, even though you were my teacher, the relation we had was more than just a teacher and student relation. I knew you were someone, even if I didn't talk to you for 5 years, I can call you and still have a conversation. Like we were still like, we have been in contact like our whole life, because you meet certain people like that. And it's just, I mean, you know, and I think you and I just think like very similar. So it's like, to see a teacher at the time that I'm like, okay, these things I'm saying are not crazy.
Yeah.
The way I love people is not crazy, you know, because I think sometimes you can get in your own head when you're trying to do good in life, where it's like, wait, am I like, is what I'm thinking actually correct? So for me, from freshman year of high school, like having a teacher that almost thinks exactly the same thing that I'm thinking and being interested in it. And I think of just conversations we had of like our futures and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, this person gets me. Like, you know, all the teachers might not get me, but this person gets me. But luckily, at the time, Kels did have a lot of teachers like that. True. Definitely just helped shape me who I ended up becoming. And I am more than grateful, like, with the people that God has, like, you know, I think of my 5th grade teacher, like I've told you about that. She played such a huge role in my life, you know. Like school was so hard for me until 5th grade because this teacher just took interest in me. I think when I think of like, when I do like podcasts or when I do anything, what I always think of, I want people to know is like, what, like you make such a, like, you might not know the big impact that you make in people's life, but like just being interested in someone and actually caring, and, you know, and actually putting an effort and being consistent, you literally can change whether someone is going to go the wrong path or the right path. You know, how that teacher protected me from people picking on me when I couldn't defend myself, when like, it's just little things like that. You know, not everyone got that same teacher. So I think of like, man, 5th grade was when like I had teachers that were like, you know, I know I wasn't doing that well in her class because I couldn't speak English still. Like I was still having a hard time. And we just meet people, like, you know, 5th grade was just a good year for me because I met my best friend in 5th grade, who, you know, Kyle Jackson. Like him and I met in 5th grade. Like when I talk to him, it's like he also doesn't understand like how big of a role he played in my life.
Yeah.
Like when I try to explain things to him, he's just like, no, I just like you as a human being, so I like hanging out with you. I'm like, no, dude, you actually changed so much of my life because you were like the first friend I actually trusted. Yeah. You know, you were the first friend that I actually wanted to spend time with. You were the first friend that invite, like, because most kids at that age, it's like, they're not going to invite me anywhere. I don't speak English. I am this weird, skinny, tall kid. Like, they're like, I want nothing to do with that. Yeah. And it's weird because, like, for Kai to be like, no, I want you to come with us because we live close to each other. I want you to come with us to the lake. I want you to come. Like, he doesn't understand how big of a role that played because he's just thinking, I was just doing this because I wanted to be your friend, you know? Like, I thought you were a cool kid and all that kind of stuff. But as a person that never got picked, as a person that felt like wasn't worthy to, like, you know, for someone to pick them first, I think he doesn't like, I try to always tell him, but I don't think he'll ever comprehend because he just thinks he was just being himself. And that's like the kind of person he is. Like, but I think even that, I think of, like, it's hard for me to ever, like, I can tell like specific people that in my life that like, I was like, that person is different, you know, even with students, like, you know, the fact that Kyle, like, like, he had no reason. Like, once again, I had nothing to offer. We had just moved from where we lived downtown, like where we lived in the bad neighborhood, to my mom had found a good opportunity, and we had just moved to Sun Valley, you know? So I'd moved next to, so it's just like things like that where God placed people like why would Kyle Jackson put interest in this random kid that he doesn't know, that he can barely understand each other, you know, like we barely can communicate, but he did. And like that changed how I slowly opened up to different people. I slowly wanted to make friends. I slowly wanted, like, and I ended up having friends because of him. I ended up making my own friends. Like I ended up being friends with people like Wayman and Meech, who also impacted my life differently. So I think when I think of all that stuff, like, it's just from a young age, like one little kid, like, because Kyle was like in 5th grade as well. Like he's not thinking, he's just trying to go have fun. But I'm like, in my head, someone that had been through all the stuff that I had been through, I think of a billion things and he thinks of. I'm like, he is picking me. I almost feel like, man, it's like such a huge honor. Like he is picking me to go hang out with him and his other 2 friends who we ended up all becoming friends with. So I think I've honestly just been blessed. And I don't even know if I answered your question, but that's kind of like a summary of my life. But like, I've been blessed to be with people that like love people. So, and they've slowly just rubbed off on me, and now I can't help but love people.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Oh,
so I
man.
mean, yeah.
That's so amazing. I mean, it's that's just amazing to hear you share, like take us through the journey that you've been on, because yeah, I mean, those of us who know you in deeper ways have, I mean, like similar to me, you know, that when you started talking in my class and just being like, okay, I want to just hang on every word he says. Like, just keep talking, Bikonzi. Like that's how I remember feeling that way in class, you know? And there was just something about just your authentic sharing. And so I think that I'm really grateful for you to just drop people into that. So if I could, you know, as I think about, I hear you talking about like worthiness, right? So that was something that Kyle, this couple that came into your life, and then some other people in your worlds, like kept saying, like you kept getting these, you're worthy, like, and that was a question because you thought you were going to be dying, like you and your siblings, right, and your mom, like literally thought you may die. That was like right there. And so then so worthiness was kind of a question. And so then you had person after person say, yes, you're worthy. Yes, you're worthy. Here we go. Then when did you started going to church at some point right off the bat, or you were already churchgoers in Africa?
Oh yeah, we were very strong believer in Africa.
Okay.
My mom sang in the choir, my dad sang in the choir, my grandpa was a pastor. So we were definitely
Okay.
churchgoer.
Yeah. So had that support calling you back to like worthiness. Tell us a little bit about your mom, because you briefly touched her, like said something about her, and like what I remember at teen camp 8 years ago was you sharing about the journey of forgiveness. Because I mean, you did just describe it a bit for us, but maybe just share a little bit more about your mom and her journey of teaching you all about forgiveness, and is that still come pretty naturally for you, like forgiving other people? Like, is it how's that influencing you today? Also, I think about your work at Grand Canyon and the work you were doing, how much that influenced, and then now what you're doing, and then your mom's organization. I mean, there's just like, it's really a beautiful life you're living right now. So maybe start with like forgiveness and your mom, and then share a little bit about your mom's organization, if you don't mind. And then how that's kind of played into your professional life. Because now, I mean, you worked at Grand Canyon University for how many years? Few? 3, 4?
Yeah, for almost 4 years, I think.
4 years. And now you're working for a nonprofit. Anyway, so I would love for you to.
Yeah. My mom is, I guess probably most kids probably say this, but my mom has made like the biggest influence, whether it's my relation with Jesus, whether it's my relation with people. She is definitely the most unique person I've ever met. Because I feel like what I've learned from her, the times when she should be angry, she's not angry. I feel like there's times where you're like someone just passed away. If I'm sad or if I'm angry, like people won't judge me for that.
Right.
So I think, or like as an 8-year-old, when I hated everyone that had anything to do, you think, okay, that's justified right now. He's going through things. These people killed his dad. They made his whole family suffer. But my mom is like so different in that. Like I've never met anyone that, and I've shared with you like how she's taught me forgiveness. Like I person did not want to forgive. Like even though we were Christians, like even my relation with Jesus, we went to like the whole camp, I didn't have a relation with Jesus. I was like, I don't want anything to do with that guy, because if he's supposed to be this great guy powerful God that can save us, why didn't he? Like he made no sense why he would let his people, and my mom were like really good Christian people. They took people in, they helped orphans, they helped widows. Like I'm like, we did everything the Bible calls us to do. Or my mom did, my parents did. At the time I was young, I was just worried about my own things. I'm like, if we did everything, why would anything bad ever happen to us? As I learned, of course, in my own faith now, is like, bad things happen to good people. Christian people suffer. When you read the Bible and understand that, like, so many of them suffer.
Yeah.
But my mom just taught me, like, you know, like, one of the things when we came here, she believed God had us here because they will come and they take someone, they'll kill them, you know? So my mom would be like, we're not just here just to go and live a happy life. We're here because God had a purpose for us, a purpose to touch other people's life in different ways. And one of the ways it starts with forgiving the people that did all these things and forgiving ourselves of whatever things that we're struggling with. And I was like, you're crazy. I'm not going to forgive anyone. Like, that's literally, you know, I respect my mom so much. Like, so I would never say that to her face, but in my head, I was like, yeah, my mom is officially gone crazy. I'm never going to forgive anyone. And I don't want to forgive anyone. Like, it was a thing where I was like, I don't even want to think about forgiving anyone. So, but she just kept saying how, if I come here and I do whatever I want to do and I go back and I hurt people, how am I being any different than those people?
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make me any different. And my mom just, so, like, with things like that, like, we would pray all the time. She would pray for the people back that did all these things, and she would pray for them, and like, God, I pray for themselves to be able to forgive themselves and all that they did, that they're able to live a good life, that you're able to bless their family. And I'm like, that would make me so angry. I'm like, why? Because when I'm praying, at least on my own, I'm praying like, God, I want their family to suffer. Not just them. I want their kids. I want everybody to suffer, you know, which is like, why would I ever want anyone to suffer though? Like, now that I think about it, I'm like, man, I was just in a bad place. Like, I would never want, even if someone did the worst thing in the world for me right now, I would never want them to suffer, because at the end of the day, we're all hurt and we all do bad things. Like, most people that do bad things are hurting themselves. And the best way to, like, they feel like that they can feel a little bit better is that they put someone else down or they hurt someone else. So my mom just taught me to, like, dude, like, you could do so much more good with forgiving those people than holding a grudge. Like, he's like, also, if you go there and kill people, it's not going to really make you feel better. It's not going to bring your dad back. It's not going to bring, you know, it's not going to help you with anything. So at a young age, I just kept thinking, no, I don't like it. Like, I don't want to forgive. I'm not, and I'll never forgive those people. So I think she just kept pushing us, like, as we were talking, she's like, I have forgiven them. And in my head, I'm like, I got to a point where I was like, if my mom can forgive them, they killed her husband, who is like the best, like, her favorite person in the whole world, like her partner in life, you know, and they made her suffer, watch her kids suffer, you know, when she couldn't provide for them. They made her, like, give birth in a concentration camp. Like, there's a million things that can go on. Like, if she can find it, like, now I'm starting to feel selfish. Like, how can I find it in me to forgive them? You know, like, yeah, I suffered too, but I didn't suffer anywhere close to how my mom, like, was suffering. So the more, like, just talking to my mom, and, like, it's funny because my mom's never gone to school, but I literally think she's, like, the wisest person in the world. Like, I don't know how, you know, and I think of just the way she was able to raise us, like, 10 kids for the most part, like, by yourself, like, and none of us have ever gone in any trouble. All of us have gone to school. We all, like, love people. Like, I just, like, you know, like, God just helped her. So, but my mom, like, since she got here, she knew what she wanted to do was go back in Africa and help the people that have gone through the same thing that she's gone through. So my mom has a nonprofit called Rose Mapendo Foundation. Her name is Rose. Her last name is Mapendo. So for the people that don't know, I just assume because you know, so I forget of the listener. Like, so the Rose Mapendo Foundation really just targets widows and orphans. So because in our culture, the people that don't have a voice are widows and orphans. You know, in our culture, and it's probably changing now, hopefully, women don't have a voice if you don't have a husband or an older teenager respected boy. So, like, as a woman in Africa, if you don't have a male that representing you, you're almost considered as nothing. And so she just feels like huge, you know, she's trying to do different things, like with medicine, and like how people get more medicine. But like, her passion is just with orphans and widows. So right now she helps, like, take care of a group of orphans, and, like, she helps widows, like, get certain skills, like sewing, like all those different kind of stuff, and be able to go out in the world and, like, create a thing for themselves to where they can, like, you know. And also right now she's doing a project where there's actually a lot of fighting in Congo, in a little town called Minembwe, back where my mom's from. So a lot of the things she's been doing is, like, she just came back from Africa and she went there just and bought as much food as she can afford and took it to there's, like, thousands and thousands, like, there's, like, when I look at the pictures, I'm like, thousands and thousands of women and kids, and some male, like, that they've burned their buildings, they've burned, like they're killing people. So, you know, and they're like they have nowhere to live. All their homes are burned and all this kind of stuff. And the government is really not doing anything. So my mom just goes there, you know, and she took food. She took like sleeping bags, because these people are sleeping like as homeless technically. So as many sleeping bags as she could buy and food, and take it there, help as much as it might not be that much, but it can at least help some people.
Yeah.
But the project before all this broke out that she is part of, like right now, she's building it's called a Women for Peace Center.
Okay.
Or it's technically just going to probably be called a peace center. You know,
Okay.
it's a place, it has 3 different components. She wants to be able to house these orphans, you know,
Yep.
and she keeps getting more and more. So one part of the center is going to house orphans and like help them with food and like be able to go to school,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just to get an education, see what they can do to come back to the community and help the community.
Yeah.
And then the other part is like a lot, like the place for women also to have some sort of place where they can go to learn how to do different skills and be able to go out into the community and help out that way. And then the third part is just going to be a conference center. Just a conference center because women are not respected. A lot of them can't meet together.
Yeah.
So the third part is really just going to be a center where the women can go and sit down with just all other women and talk about, you know, how can we actually change what's going on in the world? How can we have a voice in like the issue that's going on? What part can we play? Because a lot of women in Africa sit and look and let the guys do things. Like, oh, they'll make all the decisions, they'll do all this thing. And I think my mom just wants to give them back a voice and say, no, your voice does matter. You know, not only does your voice only matter, like all these other women's voice matter. Now, how can you guys come together and come up with like, how can we actually help our community? How can we do all these things to help? So that's the project that we are working on, like that it's like almost halfway built. Like we get pictures and it's always exciting. So, but that's like just a few. I mean, she helps refugee people here. You know, like one of her biggest things that she used to do is when refugee people got here, she would help them settle in. Like if they need furniture, if they need whatever, she would find people that can donate furniture to them. You know, so my mom also goes and speaks to different places, and so she can like raise awareness, and like through that she's able to fundraise and like send money back and forth. Like, so yeah, and I help my mom with that. Like I help my wife and I, and like my cousin Daniel help like run that stuff, like help her run that, because she has, you know, as much as there's awesome people that are doing great things, there's bad things in the world too.
Yeah.
So her nonprofit that she's had, like she just ran into a situation where people, because like I said, she's never gone to school. Yeah. So she can read, but not that well. English is also her 9th language. So like she doesn't really speak it well.
Yep.
She can communicate well, like she just, certain details when you ask, it confuses her. So people would just take advantage of her to use her name, because my mom's been blessed. I mean, she's spoken at the White House twice. My mom's been invited literally everywhere. She's been on CNN. They've made a documentary of my mom's, like the family and stuff like that. So she's been blessed in different ways, but like her nonprofit has never moved forward because she's had people running it that don't have the same interests as her. She's had people that have used her nonprofit's funds to run their own businesses. Like she's just like, and that's like, there's always going to be bad people. Yeah. But this never stops my mom. So like, that's why my wife and I and my cousin were like, okay, you know what? I don't really know that much about business, and I don't really know how to run a nonprofit, but I'm willing to learn. Yeah. You know, so throughout the year, we've just learned. And like our friend Adam, I don't know if Adam's told you, but he helped us find a venue where we were able to do a fundraiser, and he was like super awesome. You know, we have to start from small, because like there was like 50 to 60 people that came, but even now we were able to sell things that women that have sewed from her people, like that have sewed like necklaces that they've made. So it was like super cool to just like people being support. So like that's one of the things that my mom has done. I think I don't remember exactly what the other part of the question was. And
yeah, I mean, that's beautiful. I think we'll make sure that, you know, whether on Facebook, on the YouTube channel, through the podcast, just that people connect to the Rose Mapendo Foundation and can learn more about it. And obviously like you said, the documentary, I remember my family watched it on Easter, probably 5, 6 years ago or something like that. Maybe 7. And I just, I remember just crying and anyway, just a powerful look at your family's journey and your mom's journey.
Mm-hmm.
So, so we'll be sure to like connect people
Yeah.
to the foundation and what a beautiful, I mean, for me, it's just inspiring. I mean, I think forgiveness in general, I mean, I think is what holds so many of us back in life.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes, like whether it's something we've done or it's something that's happened to us or around us or whatever, like that forgiveness journey ends up becoming such a blocker for so many people. So it's really beautiful to hear your story and the way in which your mom just consistently just prayed and modeled and spoke it over and over and over again, where finally it was like, if I'm gonna, and I loved what you said also about like this purposeful life, like that you guys, by the fact that you ended up in Arizona, that you got that slip and that woman came in and all the little, the little dots that had to happen. Like, y'all, we're here for a purpose, y'all. Like God's got a purpose for us over here. Like, anyway, so it makes sense why you are who you are. And it also makes sense why you did all the work you did at Grand Canyon and then at the university, and why you chose Jenny as your life partner, as your wife. It's why you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think, that's what I was going to say too. And that's what's kind of influenced me to be where I'm at. Like, cause it's like, I've been, and like my siblings are doing different things than I'm doing, but we try to figure out whatever God's blessed us with, how can we love people with what we have,
Mm-hmm.
Cause you don't need to be working for a church to love people. You don't need to be working for a nonprofit to like love people. Like you can love the people that you just have in your life, like your friends. Like how do you love them well? Like your coworker. Like I have a brother that's an engineer. I have a brother that wants to do nursing. I have a brother that works with like kids that need help. Like I have 9 other siblings, so I have siblings that are doing a million different things.
Yeah.
Like I have my sister that just graduated and is going to do ultratech sound. Like I have we are like in so many different groups, but like regardless of what group you're in, you can make a difference. Like, because a lot of my siblings, sometimes when we have conversation, I've always kind of worked in ministry. So like you mentioned at Grand Canyon, I worked in spiritual life, and we helped start different ministry that provided kids to go serve like with either special need, foster care, and all that kind of stuff, So my siblings always feel like I am doing something, I don't know, closer to my mom than them. But like the one thing we try to remind them is like, no, you are just like, you are doing exactly where God wants you. And whatever you like, how you treat those people that you have now is what matter, regardless if you're not working for a nonprofit. Because now I don't work for Grand Canyon anymore. I work for a nonprofit called Mission One. Okay. And I mean, that nonprofit is so awesome. It's super, super crazy. Like to just see a nonprofit that loves people so well. Not just people here though, like that loves people that they don't see on a regular basis so well. They constantly wanted to know what they're in need of. How can we help? How can we pray for you? How can we encourage you? Because you sometimes think the only way you can help people is like by giving them money, but that's not the only way you can help. You can help like you and I, our conversation, how like you encouraged me, how you like, it gave me more hope to like wanting to be a better human being, because I'm like, man, when we have a conversation, it like lights this fire in me to be a better human being. Same. So I think, our nonprofit is like, oh my God. I mean, they are super awesome. I never knew they existed. And now that being part of it, just like seeing how every single one of them just cares about people and loves people. I'm just like, how did I get so blessed to be a part of this nonprofit? But like, for people that don't know Mission One, it's like a lot of people know one mission, but a lot of people don't know about Mission One. And Mission One is the nonprofit I work for. And it's like super amazing. If people wanted to go and like also learn more about them, like there's so many ways we can help people. A lot of people always feel like, I can't help people because I don't have time. I don't have people because I can't go to Africa and do a mission trip. But we forget that like part of helping is like, if I can't be a part of a nonprofit, but I can help support, whether it's with funds, whether it's with equipment, whether it's with whatever, like that is a part of you being a part of the change. Just because I'm the person that delivers there, or just because I'm the person that's there and talking to them, that doesn't mean I'm the only person making the change. You know,
Right.
I have people that we work with. I have people that have to donate. We have people that have to do a million things in order for us to do what we're doing. So, and people have to just know the role you play is just as impactful as my role. You know, if someone's sending $100 a month to like the nonprofit, like that is the, like, you know, just because I get to take that $100 and be the one that gives the people the food or whatever,
Right.
I can't got those people. So we all kind of need each other. I think that's the thing that I'm like I love like the nonprofit work. It teaches us like we need each other. Like one person doesn't make this go, you know, because even if I loved people and I wanted to do all these things, at the end of the day, I can't do it on myself. It's like, I also don't have the kind of money that would do what like our nonprofit is able to do. So like we are all a team, regardless of what you're doing. And I think that's the thing, like, you know, like my mom's like also helped me like learn is like, she named her documentary Pushing the Elephant specifically because she believed because when she came, I was like, why? You should have named it something cooler. Like, because I mean, I was a kid at the time, I'm like, Mom, you're gonna name it something fun,
Right.
like hanging out with the Moises or something like that. You know, she's like, no, I wanted this. Like, this documentary is not just a fun document. This is an educational. Like, I want people to get it from the title, but there's a message in the title. She said, one human being is not strong enough to push an elephant, but if you get a group of people, you can push the elephant like easy. So, and in her head, she was like, one person can make a difference in whatever issue is going on. But if you get a good enough group of people, because everyone's like, they're smart in different things. So you, like, if you work in a big group, you can change literally anything you want to change. And I was like, oh gosh, now I felt bad for not liking the title. So, but like, it's cool with my mom. Everything she does, there's a meaning to it. You know, as simple as a title. I was like, just name it our last name for all I care.
I'm glad you
know?
shared that. I'm glad you shared that because I had no idea, but was curious for sure.
Yeah, it was always like, well, you know, I first heard, I was like, pushing the elephants, like, what? So for her in her mind, she just truly believes those things. And she understands, like, she could do a million things, but without other people helping her, she can do what she's doing now. She won't be able to have the, you know, the enough funds. She won't be able to have, like I told you how she used to help people, like, when they got to America, get fully furnished or, like, have, like, stuff to use. She couldn't do that on her own because she doesn't, like, her nonprofit doesn't even, like, pay her, so she doesn't make money from it. You know, so it's like she has to still work to help support her kids and her, you know, so it's like she doesn't have enough, but she's willing to do as much as she can.
Right.
And I think as human being, we can try to do what, like, I can't be here and be like, oh, I'm trying to do what Aaron Lehman's doing, because I'm not Aaron Lehman. As much as I love you, as much as I think what you've done is help, we're different. You know, I just can only do as much as I can do, and hope that that's good enough and continue to work towards that, instead of, you know, I think the issue that we've ran into I mean, I live in America, so I'm American now myself, is like, we compare each other too much. You know, we compare with each other. Like, I'm like, okay, Aaron is doing so much, I need to do more than Aaron. No, that's not what we're here for. I mean, I can learn from you. I can say, man, Aaron's done this great. Like, how can I learn how to do that? Because I don't know how to do that as great as Aaron. Like, we're supposed to use each other to work better together, not always trying to top each other, because now it's a competition for what? You know, like, especially when we're all trying to help people. So I think the more we get away from I'm trying to compete with everyone else and be better than everyone else, and like think of I'm trying to work with everyone else and I'm trying to learn from everyone else, because we all have our unique skills, or like things that we're better than other people at. But like that, when we close people that are different from us and like, no, I don't want to hear from that, that's the issues that we end up having, because it's like, now we don't like each other because we're different. But I think those are just things that my mom's taught me, and like the couple, and like in my job, I've also had people that were like great, you know? So, and like, yeah, so it's been, I work like I've been blessed to do jobs that I love.
Totally.
So I always feel very privileged. Like, the fact that I work for the nonprofit that I work for is like so amazing. Like, Mission One is amazing. And the fact that I get to be a part of that team, I am so privileged to be a part of that team and what they're doing. So I think I have been like, and I talk about my family all we want to, but my family is probably one of the most blessed family in the whole world. Like,
Yeah.
all my siblings are healthy. My mom has 12 grandkids already.
Yeah.
So like she's so blessed, like more than she will ever, she'll tell you that, like,
Yeah.
all we've gone through, but we've all been blessed. Like none of her kids have any diseases, like, or anything. So it's like we've been blessed more than we can, like more than all the struggles we've gone through. So
Yeah.
God's been very good to us. So
Hmm.
yeah.
So good. As you're sharing, yeah, I mean, I think it's just like it's just exciting. It's just exciting to see you doing what you love. And I love your thought on the comparison journey and how it's like, it's so tempting to do comparing, but like, we really have to, like, we all have opportunities daily, no matter what job
Hmm.
or position we're in, to show up and be loving, to show up and offer compassion, to show up and be a presence for others. I do have a question because that I'm curious about because, I mean, you just pump me up so much, I'm like, it gets me thinking like, oh, nonprofits, like, I'm like, when am I need to go, I need to volunteer soon. Or, like, how do you rest? Because, when I think about, as I listen to you talk through some of the things, I'm like, man, yeah, how do you rest? What do you and Jenny do for fun? What's something you do for fun to relax? And because when I listen to you, I'm like you're talking about, like the comparison thing, like my brain's like, wow, this dude is like nonstop, like going all
Hmm.
out, doing the Rose Mapendo Foundation, doing Mission One, like also being a great husband. Yeah. How do you find rest? Where do you get to rest a little bit? And what are some things that allow you to play and rest?
I will say that I do rest more now that I'm married. My wife is a lot better with that, and she's
Okay.
taught me so much in that,
Yeah.
and also just the importance of rest. I used to, like, rest was not a thing. I got rest when I got rest. I was not even a big fan of sleeping. Like, I'm like, this is a waste of 5 hours. This is a waste of 6 hours. But I think getting married and
Yeah.
like knowing that I need to set time aside for my wife,
Mm-hmm.
because I've realized that a lot of people think I'm an 8 on the Enneagram. I don't know how much you know about the Enneagram, but I've actually realized I think I'm more of a 2 than I am an 8. Like
I
helping
think you're
makes
too.
me, I think helping just, for my own selfish reason, I think, because when I help people, they always think, man, you're being so awesome. I think I help people for my own self. Like I enjoy helping. It makes me feel like, I don't know. Like even with like even like with just my family, like I've always been like the helper, the problem solver. Like I need to be doing something to
Mm-hmm.
help. And that made me feel alive, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So I think even just learning that also itself is not healthy. You can't just be trying to help every single person, because one, you're going to get burnt out. And then the things that you are doing doesn't become fun. Like I love these things,
Yeah.
but if I don't take time to rest and do like, so I think my wife and I always trying to be like more intentional on like, okay, we need to plan some sort of trip, whether that's like just to Sedona,
Yeah.
a day trip, where we sometimes just take days off and just be home and do like nothing that requires thinking. I don't know if that
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
like go out to eat, just watch TV and do nothing, because sometimes watching TV, like you feel like, oh, I could be doing something else, but like, I think sometimes just resting and doing something that you don't have to think of,
Totally.
you know, is very like, that's like super good. My wife she loves like intentional time.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I used to think I loved intentional time, but I think she loves intentional time even more than I do. So that's also just challenged me with like learning how to be more intentional, because a lot of people used to think I was very intentional, but I've just learned, like, I realized like I loved helping so much that I was always on the go to help,
Yeah.
that it would take a lot more time out of like me actually, when I came to help you, like not only helping you, but I need to spend time and actually get to know you, who you are, and all that and that's something like my wife's super good at. She's good at, like, when we would go to events, I
Yeah.
want to meet 100 people and just get to know a lot of people. Like I just love meeting new people. My wife will talk to probably like a few people, but she would know like things about them. Like she would go actually deeper and should actually get to know them. And I'm like, we come and have conversations. She's like, and she's asking me what I learned from it. I was like, yeah, this person does this and does this, but like nothing deep,
Right.
but
Right.
I talked to 60 people, and she's like, yeah, I've talked to 3 people, but like, these are the kids' names. These are like, oh, wait, what? You got past the whole, like, cause I'm like, I love meeting people so much that he ended up creating almost like, it's like an issue almost like,
Okay.
like
Yeah.
not a bad issue, but it was almost like I wasn't actually going any like deeper and like learning about them. So we've just learned like we need to set time aside. Like before the whole virus broke out, where we the first hour we got home, the first hour was just we catch up on each other's day, talk about the things that we're struggling with, talk about the things that we are enjoying, talk about goals that we have for this week. Like our first hour, we set aside to like just before we started cooking dinner, just talk about all that stuff. Like, what is going on in your head? What are you struggling with? How can I help? So just taking the time, like, it's helped me get to know her more. So there's times now, like, now that we're home together, like, it's a lot of fun, but there's stuff that you can get on each other's nerves. And I know when I'm getting on her nerves because of the time prior to that we've put in to getting to know each other.
Yeah.
But I think it is so important to just take time for rest because, and I'm speaking from experience, like I don't rest is like almost weird because that means I'm not helping anyone.
Right.
But that also is helping myself because even so, like we found like different shows that we can watch on a regular basis. So we know like, okay, we have this time aside to like watch this show. Like then our mind is not thinking about anything but the show.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely hard because my mom's nonprofit. So, and we're still at the beginners. Like, so there's a lot more stuff to do, having to learn how to like reach out to people that can help, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I've definitely like, I've put in an effort where like, yeah, like when the afternoon comes or whatever, like after dinner, instead of always trying to go on my computer and do more things, to not just wait, tomorrow will come and I'll get time to do that. I think, I've just never been taught rest. And that's partially because of my mom. She is even worse than I am at resting.
Mm-hmm.
At least I've learned. My mom will go 100 miles per hour in everything she does. And I'm like, this is why you're going insane. This is why, like I was telling someone today, my mom and I can never have one phone call and talk about everything. Like I'll ask my mom a simple question like, hey, mom, can you send me this information? And we'll come and she'll tell me 10 stories about that same information I asked, but not give me the actual information I wanted. Then she'll call me again. On the 6th time, then she's like, oh, okay, this is the information you want, I give it to you. Because she is like literally in 100 different places. Like she is thinking about people in Africa that are suffering, the nonprofit, how she can make it better so that orphans can have food, how she can help the orphans go to school. Like, so when you talk to her, so she is not resting. So I always like literally like occasionally I just call like, mom, she literally doesn't know how to do nothing. Like I've learned how to do nothing here and there. Like, but my mom literally like when I'm telling you this, like she just like, that's like one of the biggest arguments my mom and I have. I'm like, you're going to run yourself to the ground. Like you are going to be like, if you rest, you're going to be more useful to this people for a longer period of time than just going for 10 years and then crashing. So, but rest is definitely, it's very, very important. And we don't like tell people that, like spending that quality time with your family almost like re-energizes you, like fills up your cup. Like, so I try to exercise. One of the things I do the most is I play basketball. Like that's like my favorite sport. So I do some sort of fun event. Like I also have a relationship with my friends that I still keep up with where we talk to where it takes my mind off work stuff. I don't know if that makes sense. Like I try to figure out what are other ways, like, because if I go golfing with my friend or if I go do like something that requires none of my job stuff, which is hard because I feel, man, I'm not doing something that I could be doing that's important. But me playing golf is important because not only is it building a relationship with my friend or playing basketball, it's creating a community. Like, because you need a community. Like we were just talking about, you can't do anything in life by yourself. But if you push everyone away because you're trying to do a million things, that doesn't help with that. So I think rest is something I've, had to learn. I mean, I even think of our class. I think with all the things I've done with you, rest has been a big thing that we've talked about. And I think you are probably one of the people that have taught me how to rest more than most people, because you've always told us like how important rest was, like, for not only like, it just makes you, when you rest, it just improves everything else you're doing, because I used to try to do everything 100 miles like my mom. It's like, then eventually became, I was only giving 50% because I'm tired, because it's not fun anymore. So when I'm doing it now, it's like when I do take the time to rest and spend time with my wife, spend time with my siblings, when I come in the time, even if it's less time, it's more enjoyable, and I'm doing more because I'm excited to do that stuff. So
Totally.
it's always fun. And that's why my nonprofit, actually, I work for, like, there's so much stuff in rest.
Yeah.
It's so unique, like how much, like how important they value your family time. Because
Mhm.
they truly believe that, like, if your family life is great, you're going to be great at the job as well. And I think that's
Yeah.
like something like most, like, so like if like somebody in my family was having a bad day, my nonprofit would just let me leave and go take care of that.
Wow.
Instead of saying, oh no, you have to be here from 8 to 5. Like, we have times we have to be in there, but it's like, they're so flexible because they believe, because the thing I've learned from them, it's like, if they don't let me go home and take care of that issue, when
Mhm.
I'm at my job doing it, I'm mostly thinking about the issue I'm having at home,
Yeah.
because, so that doesn't help anyone. So
Yeah.
they've really, like, I've never met an organization that just not only cares about your performance, but also cares about your home life, your
Yeah.
family life. I'm just like, sometimes I'm like, I tell Jenny, I'm like, I don't know how I got to be a part of this nonprofit, but like, I don't know why God blesses me so much, but like, so it's just crazy, like, because I love my family so much. Like, I love my wife, but it's like me working 8 to 5, it was hard,
Mm-hmm.
because then I'm coming home and I'm like, I want nothing else to do. Like, it's just hard to think, because now I'm trying to spend time to rest so I
Yeah.
can go back and do 8 to 5 again. So it's like, it's been, man, the nonprofit I work for, I can go on days and talking about it. But like, yeah,
Awesome.
rest is important. I think you probably can teach on rest better than
No,
most people I
I
know.
was
So
curious. I was curious because it's, that's the journey that I definitely have been on the last decade in my partnership with Sarah. I think we both married women that really
yeah,
value that and are teaching us a lot about that. So, all right, closing question, my man. I'm so grateful to have had you on, and for people to have gotten to know you better here, and and to get to know the foundations you're working for, and doing work. Anyway, you're such an inspiration. And my last question is, if you were to have 10,000 people in front of you, and you got to offer like 2 or 3 tips, like life wisdom or tips, suggestions, recommendations. If you could offer 2 or 3 like pieces of wisdom, what would those be? What would you encourage people to explore, to dive into? Anyway.
oh man, that's, I think I've just seen, I mean, I think life has been so great for me. And so I literally honestly can think of so many things.
Yeah.
But I think if thinking of 3 things,
We know you're going to write a book. Here's the deal. We know you're going to write a book. So everybody who's listening is going to get to read that book too. So that can have like 10. But if
yeah, I mean,
this will be a little glimpse of what your book's going to be like when you write it.
someone just recently convinced me to write a book about my life.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
let's just do that first. And then once that's over, I have one of my best friends that's actually writing it. And it's like, so, I mean,
Yes.
but I'm getting off topic. I think talking to you just gets me talking about a million things, because I know you and I get excited about the same thing. So I feel like you and I doing anything is always like, we need we need a podcast for like 15 hours. Cause I feel like, honestly, when I talk to you, I'm like, I just don't even know. I look at time and I'm like, wait, what? We've been talking for an hour? Like, there's no way. But I think anything I do with you, and
Same.
even Jenny always tell me, I tell her, oh, I'm just going to be on a call with Aaron for like 10 minutes. And it's like, wait, it's 2 hours. So I think I'll try to answer this. 3 things. I think one of the thing is to just like, I mean, I think I said like being consistent
Mm.
in whatever you do, be consistent. So if you want to help people, be consistent in that. And like, because like when I worked at Grand Canyon, we did a lot of like where we would go to like people that are like have less.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, like the biggest thing I preach for students, like be consistent. Like, even if you don't know what to do, just go anywhere and sit with them and say, I don't know what I'm doing. Because when you're consistent, they learn to trust you more. They're like, okay, this person is not just here for a little bit. You know, it's like for a lot more, like it's like, so being consistent is definitely one of them. And I think also just like, I know this sounds simple, just loving others, not only their good stuff but their differences. You know, I love people that are being different. So I think in that, when I say loving people, I mean just accepting their differences. Like, I love people that are different, and you learn so much from people that are different. So I'll say loving people that are different, because the people that are similar to you, you're gonna love regardless because they're similar to you, you know,
Mhm.
and being consistent. And I think the last one, I think, is listen. Like, listen to people.
Mm.
I think you learn so. We spend so much time wanting to talk. I think another thing my wife's taught me is to just listen. You know, I want to do a million things so I can constantly keep talking, and I love talking. So I'm not gonna lie, like I love talking to people. So I think listening has taught me so much, because you get, when you, not just one of those things where I'm listening to Aaron because we're friends and I have to listen, like actually listening to what you're saying and fully actually paying attention to that. One, you learn so much, you know.
Mm.
I learned something from someone that, I don't know where I read this saying. They said, if you're the smartest person in the room, you should, like, that's not a good room for you to be in. You need to find something better. So I've always tried, the hardest thing for me is to like surround myself with people that are way smarter, way
Mm.
better at helping people than I am, people that love people more than I do. And when I do that, I just learn so much. And the way I learn is by listening, you know.
Yeah.
So I think listening is just such a big key in anything you do. When you communicate with your wife, if you don't listen, things are not going to go well. At your job, if you don't listen to the things that are actually going on, you're not going to know how to help them. Like literally in anything you do, if you don't listen, it's not going to be. The reason you and I like got along so well is because we listened to each other. I mean, it was a lot easier to listen to each other because we really loved what the other person was saying. But I
Totally.
think even the people you don't like, just listening to them and hearing their side will actually help you just understand life and understand everything you're doing so much better. So I think if I had to pick three, it would definitely be consistent, love people being different, because we are all different. We come with different things, and then listening. You
Mm.
know, I think listening has been playing such a big role in my life. Especially, I work with a nonprofit where people are in another country. So if I don't listen, we don't get what we need to get done.
Yeah.
So I think listening is very, you know, it's, and also I've learned, sorry, it just, I remember I was in college, last story and I'm done.
Yeah.
One of my friends, no, I came from such a different background. We were talking about issues that he thought, and he was like, you know, he was saying how welfare is so bad, like people getting help, because this is all he's known. So him at one time had dinner. Like, I don't really believe in yelling at people saying you're dumb, you don't, you know, you racist or none of that. No, because that doesn't really actually help anything. And this was a close friend of mine. So we went and had dinner, and I was like, just ask me questions, because we come from a different background.
Yeah.
And then listen, and then we'll see. By the time we were done with that meeting, because when I told him, I was like, my family was on welfare. If the government didn't take care of us the first few years we were here, we would have been homeless. So like, there's people that misuse things, but not everyone misused that. But because he listened, you know, and all the things, the topics that he had a question for, because he listened and was willing to learn, like, our friendship one got better. Also, he learned so much. Now, before he says we need to cut out welfare, he's like, no. Like, he thinks of, man, the conversation Bikonzi and I had, you know, was, so like, when you listen and actually listen, wanting to learn, and not listen, wanting to have a saying about something, you just learn so much more. So I think those are the three things, but I need to stop because I
Dude,
could keep going and keep going. So
I'll pre-order your book. Keep me updated. Keep us all updated.
that still have time, but we'll see. But for you, probably be a lot of things that you've already heard, so it won't really
But
change.
no, but I want to. No, I'm so excited.
So
Bikonzi, thank you so much for joining. I'm really, really grateful and just excited to see, who will have an opportunity to listen and drop in and hear more about your journey, and hopefully make some cool connections with your
yeah,
foundation and with other people. So
yeah.
thanks for taking the time. And thank you for joining us on episode 3 of our Healing Voices podcast.
Thanks for having me. Anything you do, I'm 100% in. So
Awesome.